start from the beginning. How did you get involved in IWA? What was your first introduction to it?
Oh, wow, okay. I was a member of IWQ before it was amalgamated with the other two organisations into IWA.
I joined in 2006.
2006, okay.
When I was recruited.
So it's a 10-year anniversary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My 10-year anniversary.
Oh, wow. Happy anniversary.
I'm a biochemist and I was recruited into the water sector.
Okay.
And my first conference was 2006 Beijing, and then I had to be a member, and that's how I became a member of
wow.
IWA. It is
So we
actually
were
10
in
years.
Beijing and we didn't know each other.
Okay. And you met in Beijing?
No.
No.
So what happened after that is I met up with Adrian at that stage, or I heard about the young water professionals and didn't sign up. Went home to South Africa and then asked my boss if I could get involved with the young water professionals, more because I wanted to get to know the people, get to know the sector, because I wasn't in the water sector.
Mm-hmm.
So my boss sent me in 2008 to America for the International Young Water Professional Conference. That's where I met Kati and the rest of the committee. Came back to South Africa, contacted the Water Research Commission and asked them I want to speak to somebody who's interested in youth development, and met up with her.
Wow.
And that's
And that was in what year?
2008.
Okay.
Yeah.
So kind of 2 years after you first came on
Yes.
board. And in those 2 years, what were you involved with?
I was involved with the health-related water microbiology specialist group. Very limited, sort of more conference focus at
Okay.
that stage. Conference participation focus. I'm not sure about you.
No, not so much. I was in the UK until 2002.
Okay.
And in 2001, Mike Story came up from Australia because I was working with Richard Stutz, who's an academic here that was my immediate line manager, I guess, at Cranfield University. And we did the first
Oh, you were at Cranfield.
UK YWP conference in 2001 with like 15 people. It was tiny thing. And it was huge fun. But then I moved to South Africa. On arrival was sort of advised, I guess, that you need a local professional network. So I joined WISA, which is the Water Institute of Southern Africa. And then in 2008, when I moved from Grahamstown, which is, when I say it's a small town, if you look at it on the map, it's not much.
Okay.
It's that smaller town. And then moved to the Water Research Commission and wanted to start up young water professionals. So when TG contacted the WRC and said, I'm interested in starting YWP, and I went, well, so am I. So we did.
Yeah, we did.
With 250 runs of your money.
Yes.
250 of mine. So that we had a slush fund.
Wow.
opened a bank
Of your
account.
own money.
Yeah, we opened. We couldn't get funding. Nobody was really interested in funding us, and we decided the best
We'll
way
do
to
it
start
ourselves then.
a network was to start with a conference.
Yeah.
So we did everything backwards.
It's the best way to do things, right?
We did a conference, and our first conference was like
300 people.
380 people.
Yeah.
There was
More than you
380
expected.
people.
Totally. We
Totally
thought
more.
maybe we could get 100 people interested. That we faked it enough so that we hold a conference and we put out all this stuff through electronic communication and make it look like something exists that you just come and join rather than there's just two of us. Then people will come and join.
So
And that's
fake it till
actually
you
what
become
happened.
it instead of
Exactly.
fake it till
Exactly.
And you don't need more than 20 euros each.
No, you
Literally.
absolutely don't. We started with like
So-
$50.
You're a chemist by background.
Biochemist.
And biochemist.
Originally an environmental biologist.
Okay.
And then I did a master's in manufacturing and a PhD in pharmaceutical waste
Oh,
treatment.
wow.
And now I work in the mining sector. So
Fascinating.
all sorts.
Interesting. Yeah.
If it's dirty, I'm interested, basically.
Good quote.
But if it needs cleaning, then I'm your girl.
That's great.
Unlike what Qantas think. When they come to the back and go, Dr. Burgess, can you help us? No. Not that kind of doctor. Nope.
Yeah, that is always a fun one.
No. If your toilet's blocked, then yes. Otherwise, no.
So after this 300-person conference, it must have just snowballed
just
from
went.
there.
It went haywire.
It was unbelievable.
we
It was
had our-
life-changing.
We had our
It was
first
amazing.
small committee, and then as the conference grew nearer, more people joined, and then after the conference, we had this fully fledged
Tons of
national
people joined,
committee
yeah.
with our first 3 chapters already started. It was
The 7th one is launching this week
Yeah.
while we're not here. Because it's such a big
Congratulations.
country, we're trying to have one in every province.
Okay.
And Limpopo is launching.
Yeah.
And we're
I'm
not
sorry,
allowed to see it.
I'm very ignorant about this, but how many provinces in South
9.
Africa?
9.
Okay.
So
The last 2
We're
have
almost there.
basically got no one in them.
So it's just gone,
It's
literally
just
gone like
amazing.
this. It was an exponential growth, and I mean we were talking the other day, both in South Africa and here, where you see what we've built and how it just keeps on evolving, keeps on growing into something that you can just stand back and go, wow, I was part of that.
Congratulations, guys. That's really amazing.
Sorry.
And so, what if you had to speak to people who want to start this in their country? What are the lessons learned? What are the tips or tricks you would give them?
I think the first one that I would start off with is don't do this for a YDP. Both of us started to give back to the water sector, and I think the rest kind of evolved from there. A lot of people start with, I want to start a committee, and then this and this. They get caught up in all the technicalities and
And
formalities.
the admin and this.
And we
You don't
just
need to.
no.
You have to be quite selective about the early members. If you've got too many, some people just join because they want to put something on their CV and they don't actually want to take responsibility and do anything. And you have to be quite cautious, not to be rude, but to get rid of them. Which sounds awful, but what we did was set it up that if you didn't get to 2 meetings and you didn't send inputs, then you were considered to have resigned yourself, because you can't. There was only 2 of us, and then it became 4 of us, but we couldn't afford any passengers. It was already a lot of work, and it was actually easier to know that you had a group of 4 people and they actually would all do a quarter of the work than 10 people and 6 of them didn't want to do anything.
Because I mean, what people don't realize, this is a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
We all refer to it as our second job, and it literally is
And
a second job.
It takes almost as much time.
But
and we
it's the
never
best
paid
part.
anyone.
It's the best job to have. And I would never do this anyway. Anyway, different.
I wouldn't change anything, no.
It's the
Absolutely
best
not.
job to
I
have.
really wish I had a video camera right now filming you. This is beautiful.
No,
I
it's-
think
It's just the most amazing
I
thing.
think both of us have been at events where we actually said if we could get paid to do this and do this full time, we would do this. It is just, it's so rewarding.
Having said that, we have had people who've joined and said, well, I want money to come to the meetings and you need to pay me this much per kilometre, and we're just going to, no. We expect people to volunteer their time and commitment, and there isn't anything in it for you immediately. So if you don't understand and value that it gives you access to the most incredible network, and it is its own reward. If you're looking for another reward, then it's not the right thing to do.
I think to me you just captured the essence of IWA right there, is that if you're looking for anything other than that, I mean, that is its own reward, right? Is that
It
access to this
absolutely is.
incredible network of
Yeah.
people like you who are just working so hard on bringing people together and
It's
wanting to
so
give back to
worth
the
it.
water sector.
We've been doing it since 2008, so 8 years.
That is.
The opportunities that have just arrived in front of us because people get to know you, and once they see you doing something and they like what you're doing, often they'll come and ask you to do something else, but it's an opportunity you would never get if you just studied and then did your day job. It is so worth it.
I mean, one of our colleagues, Henry Roman, that he started with us, or we got him in soon after we started. He was employed by our Department of Science and Technology, and they actually told him, "You're being employed because of your network you bring in, your skill set as well." But the tipping point for them was you come with a huge network that we built up, and I think.
I wish he was here. Henry's
Yeah.
amazing.
But people don't realize that if you don't look for it, it finds you, and you get the most amazing opportunities. We've both served on councils, on boards. We're now both fellows. We do amazing things all over the world. We get to travel. But one thing that we always say is that make sure if your employer is on board, anything is possible. Because we both have very good
That's
employers
not
that
to
look
say
after
you're
us.
not
No.
doing your day job. You have to stay up to speed on what you're actually paid to do.
But they see the value of us doing this. it was amazing.
And so what advice would you give to young professionals who are maybe 10 years behind in their careers?
Volunteer, say yes.
Just say yes
Just say yes.
and see what happens.
If someone asks you to do something, say yes. If you don't like it, you don't have to do it again.
We
But
go.
if you do like it, it can change your life.